Tua Williams, CO.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think the Minister will find anyone on this side of the House who would disagree when she says that work is important, work is valued. I think, by and large, all New Zealanders value work. We live in a society where work becomes important, but it's also about the wages that those jobs provide. For the Minister to argue that the housing accommodation supplement and the childcare supplements will enable sole mothers to receive an income where they can work, I think, Minister, that defeats the whole purpose of your bill, because you're using the accommodation supplement and the childcare supplement to subsidise the employers, to subsidise the landlord, whereas the whole purpose of this bill was to focus on work where mums, solo dads, or young people who are going to be pushed into work are able to support themselves. But your argument of using the accommodation supplement in childcare seems to me to concede the fact that jobs that are out there are not going to be able to sustain a solo parent, to sustain a beneficiary who wants to get into a job. The title of the bill, the Social Security Youth Support and Work Focus Amendment, so it's an amendment bill of the Social Security Act 1964. But as submitters have said before, the purpose of this amendment bill and the original purpose of the original act just does not connect. They are miles apart. And the suggestion by many submitters is that really this bill should not be there. It is the wrong bill to introduce if the Minister is genuine about her concern in addressing these particular issues. In fact, sir, it should really be the repeal of the Social Security Act rather than the Amendment Act as it shows. Because if the focus of the bill is about jobs, then this bill is really doing everything other than the provision of a job, yet it provides sanctions, which in my mind, sir, is a threat that if people don't get a job, then they are going to lose out on something. There's another significant shift that this bill introduces. It introduces a youth package which permits the use of third parties or private organisations. So that is a significant shift from what currently now occurs, where a third party, whether it be a business or a community trust or whatever organisation, is going to be the representative of the government department in the delivery of benefits, in the delivery of any sanctions, in the provision of any of the pre-benefit activities that the bill suggests the Chief Executive has. Because the Chief Executive is not going to be the one sitting down with every beneficiary that comes through the doors of work and income. And so when the bill allows for a third party to be involved in the relationship of the beneficiary and government, so I think that debate still needs to be had, because there are significant risks associated with the third parties involved in the relationship there. The bill also, whilst it says youth support and work focus bill, does not also highlight the fact that there's significant change in the beneficiary falls on solo parents. It falls on widows, it falls on sole parents, and when a bill suggests one thing but does something else, sir, you really got to ask yourself, are we being honest with the public out there? The fact that the entire bill introduces work testing, again, the work focus gives a different suggestion to the public who will read the bill and think, okay, this is going to enable me to get a job. But it doesn't. And despite what the backbenchers say about the vacancy opportunities online, We still have today, sir, 160,000 people unemployed, 6.7%, for women who predominantly make up sole parent. Mr. Chair,
Sir William Seo.
for women who predominantly make up the sole parent category, they are 7.1% unemployed, higher than the national average, sir. So, again, I don't think that the bill is being honest with allowing the general public to be fully aware of what will happen. The bill also, sir, introduces sanctions. I don't know, for most people, I take sanctions as a threat. And there has been significant power now being placed upon the shoulders of the chief executive. It will be the chief executive that will determine whether a person is eligible for a benefit and what benefit. It will be the chief executive that will determine which activities, pre-benefit activities, will the applicant apply. And it will be the chief executive that will determine what educational activity the applicant can apply for. So again, this is a significant shift from the original bill that I don't think that we've had enough time to debate on. The other point, sir, that I make in childcare, because when this bill introduces that sole parents will be work tested when a child is 5 years old, it used to be 6, the bill now reduces it to 5, and part-time work, I still have genuine concerns, because if they're working in a job that does not pay sufficient to provide care for the child at home, for the child at at an educational facility, then the minister has suggested that we'll continue providing the childcare subsidy. And I think that's wrong, because that means that the focus really is about subsidising employers, subsidising landlord at the detriment of taxpayers and at the detriment of sole parents or beneficiaries who are going to continue to work for low-paid jobs. How can you live, sir, and provide a decent quality standard of living if this is the rate of affairs that this government seems to be content on proposing? Again, the jobs, I mean, if I really wanted to be mean to the backbenchers, sir, I'd say this bill ought to be called a kick in the guts for beneficiaries. Well, that's what this is all about. Because, look, and that's right, and they don't take this seriously. Mr. Chair, the minister above all members on that side should know that the children of beneficiaries should be our primary concern. The children of sole parents should be our primary concerns. And if the minister was in attendance when the public made submission, she would have heard from a range of significant organisations, significant individuals who responded and gave evidence that their paramount concern is that this bill does nothing whatsoever to protect the most vulnerable in our society, the children of sole parents. To leave a 14-year-old child at home, really, sir, this perpetuates what we're doing. When a 14-year-old child is at home because mum has to be forced to go to work, or they'll be sanctioned and have nothing on the table, nothing to pay the rent for, what will that do to that young person, sir? And so I think if the minister is genuine, and I accept that she's genuine about this, then really what she is doing with this Amendment Act is not simply tinkering with the main Act. She is providing significant shift to the whole Social Security Act, both the purpose of this bill, the purpose of the Social Security Act. Absolutely. If we were in government, they would say this is nanny state. This is nanny state is what they would have called it. We're not saying that one iota whatsoever. I simply say that she fails in this bill to address what will happen to children left alone, to mothers who, because they'll be sanctioned if they don't try and find work, who may not be able to afford the childcare. But the subsidy provided for childcare is $6 per child. Compare that with the cost of sending a child to school, sir. You can't send a child to school for $6, sir. And so I think she fails to address children.
Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to now talk to the title.